Hello, everyone, and welcome to Notre Dame Fighting Irish Live here on the voice of college football, Mark Rogers' Notre Dame channel, and also Mark's main channel. I'm your host, Will. Today, we are going to be talking about Tommy Rees going from Notre Dame to Alabama. Big news here on the voice of college football. So we're gonna wait for a couple people to trickle in here. From Marks. Welcome. So what's the reaction here, everyone? What's the reaction here for Tommy going to Alabama? I think it's a big move for him, but I also think it's a risky move, especially because he was the reason a lot of these guys were brought in to Notre Dame was because of what Tommy was able to recruit a lot of them. But of course, many of these guys came into the system because of Notre Dame, not because of Tommy Rees. At least that's what I'm hearing around the program, is that Tommy wasn't the reason why they're going to Notre Dame. They came because of Marcus Freeman. So luckily for the Irish, they shouldn't see too many people leave. Too many guys leave. Probably not Sam Hartman. But that's the one big worry for Irish fans. Will Sam Hartman leave? Will he go with Tommy to Bama? It's going to be interesting, folks. It's going to be very, very interesting. And we're also going to be talking about who do we think are the best candidates to replace Tommy Rees in South Bend. It's going to be very interesting to see what will go on. And it'll be interesting to see what the players' reactions are to Tommy leaving. Are they going to feel as betrayed as they did with Coach Brian Kelly, or are they going to be more understanding of the situation? It will be very interesting to see the fallout of this. And Tommy's really the last big holdover from BK's staff. Of course, I believe Mike Mickens came over. He is currently the most senior member of the staff. He did come over in 2020, so he's the only holdover from before Marcus came to South Bend. And of course, they're best buddies. Mike and Marcus they grew up together. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go on in South Bend. So we'll see what's going on. As we see Marcus still alive. Don't know how much longer he's going to be. So hoping we get a big crowd from there. But yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to go on and who the candidates are going to be. Of course, I'm going to bring up some of the stats here that my buddy Jackson gave me. Let's see here in the banner. Here, some of the stats. Of course, Tommy was originally the quarterback's coach at Notre Dame under Chip Long. And so he wasn't the offensive coordinator until the COVID year. Of course, that was a playoff. What's up, Jackson? Of course, that was a COVID year, was his first year, where he did lead Notre Dame to the playoffs. But of course, that Notre Dame team, like the 2018 team, was very defense-driven, very defensive-driven team. With, of course, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah being the star of the show. Of that team. and many other guys as well. That was a fun year. Of course, knocking off Clemson without many of their guys. But so you can say that wasn't truly a big win, but gave the team a lot of that big boost to end up making the playoffs. Of course, losing to the Tigers in the ACC championship game pretty handily, and then, of course, losing to Bama pretty handily as well, unfortunately. But it was still a fun year. Of course, that was Kyle Hamilton's breakout year, Isaiah Foskey's breakout year. That was Michael Mayer's freshman year. Lean Eichenberg and Tommy Kramer leading the O-line that year. So that was a fun year to be an Irish fan. Of course, the last year that the Irish made the playoffs. Hopefully we'll be back this year, but it will be tough. It will be tough. So it's going to wait a little longer to see if Mark finishes up his show. Yes, now he's talking about Purdue. So Jackson, what do you think, man? I'll ask you in the chat. Are you excited about Tommy coming over? Are you worried he's going to be similar to Bill O'Brien? Because in some ways he is similar to Bill O'Brien, but of course his scheme's a little less complex and more adaptable to the average college athlete. So I was wondering what you think, bro. What you think of Tommy going to Alabama? It's crazy, man. It's crazy that how long Tommy REES has been around the Notre Dame program. We got Ballard here saying Roll Tide. Of course, Ballard excited that Tommy's going over, taking the flight down south to T-Town, going to be the OC of the Crimson Tide. So it's going to be a big jump for Tommy. A lot. I'm on the wait and see mode at the moment with REES, but if he does really well, he will be hired as a Power 5 head coach. What I think Tommy wants to do, I could be wrong here, but what I think that Tommy wants to do is here. I'll drop the link. You guys can come in here. As I'm curious to see what you guys think. So come on in, guys. Since we only have 3 viewers, I want to see what you guys think of Tommy. Because I'm really curious on what the Bama fan perspective is here. Because I think it will be interesting. And then once Mark finishes up his show, then I think we'll get into who I want to be the offensive coordinator. Because I have a whole list of guys that I've been hearing about might be considered for the job. So we got Jackson here.
What's up, Will?
We got Bama fan Jackson here, who got Tommy. We got the Notre Dame and the Alabama, of course. He's a fan of both teams. What was your first reaction to Tommy REES being hired as Alabama's offensive coordinator?
I'm going to be honest. I'm really all wait and see mode with Tommy REES. I really like him, but when I was going over the stats, I was just like, oh, man.
Well, a lot of Bama guys are excited, are saying that the talent's going to be a bit better at Alabama than it was at Notre Dame.
For sure. What was your reaction when Tommy REES got hired from Bama?
I was a little sad. I mean, I've been a critic of Tommy, to be honest. I have been a critic of him. But this is the most talent that Notre Dame's going to have on offense with him as a coach. Like this year, the Irish are going to probably have a top 10 offense, I think. So I kind of wanted to see what he could do with all the talent, with all the transfers coming in, Sam Hartman, Caleb Smith coming in from Virginia Tech, as well as all the young receivers and offensive weapons getting a year older. So I wanted to see what I wanted to see what Tommy could do with all that talent, but we won't see that now. We'll be seeing someone else being the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. So it'll be interesting to see who Marcus Freeman hires. This is pretty much just his decision.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Warren somebody, but he's from Wake Forest, so
Warren
it's like
Ruggiero. Yeah.
Rushier. Yeah, so it's kind of like, he did very well with Sam Hartman at Wake
Mm-hmm.
Forest. So I'm kind of thinking, want to run it back in South Bend? Let's go.
We got Todd Gwynn, South Carolina fan, Gamecock fan coming in. You got to be excited, Todd, about Nicholas Harbor. He's right down the street from me, from my parents' house in Archbishop Carroll. I've been there a few times. Really good tradition there. We got Ballard, another Christian Ballard from Ballard Sports Media, another huge Bama fan coming in. What was your reaction, Christian, to Tommy Rees coming in and be the offensive coordinator at Bama for the Tide?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'll say this, that it was a surprise because it wasn't one of the top names that we had heard. But I think that, I mean, Alabama fans would probably say it's a step up from Bill O'Brien, no matter who we got, because Bill O'Brien just had to go. I mean, I think he'll do great somewhere. He'll probably do great with the Patriots. I just don't think it was good enough for the standard that Alabama has set of excellence. And I really don't know too much about Tommy Rees. I'm sure he did really, really well at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly and even under Marcus Freeman last year. And I think it's one of those we'll wait and see, but there's a lot of positive and a lot of hope.
So I think in a good way, he's similar to Bill O'Brien. But I think the big problem with Bill O'Brien was his scheme was too complex for college, for like the college level. Like it was really hard for all the guys to like memorize what they had to do for everything. And Tommy's like that, but he's less sophisticated than Bill O'Brien. Like Bill O'Brien liked to just show how smart he was. Tommy Rees, he was a smart guy, but he also was able to adapt it to the college level. So I feel like it'll be a pretty easy transition for the Tide and the offensive players that are down there in Tuscaloosa. So I think it'll be a good fit.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to bring Sam down to Tuscaloosa because and that might be a bit of a recruiting battle there to try to for the Irish to keep Sam. Would he be a guy that you guys, Christian Jackson, would be looking for to bring down to Tuscaloosa, or do you like who you have?
I'm all right with who we got for right now.
Christian, do you agree, or would you like to see Sam down in T-Town?
It kind of cut out. What was the question?
Do you want to bring Sam Hartman down to Alabama? Do you want to bring him down, or do you like who you guys have?
Oh, for quarterback?
I
kind of like what we have in Jalen Milroe. I have heard. I like Sam Hartman. I really do. And I think it's something that if Nick Saban wants to gamble on him, go for it. But from my perspective, I just think a guy like Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson, I've been waiting on those guys for quite some time. And I think that it's one of those things where we have so much quarterback depth at Alabama right now that we just need to work with what we have instead of trying to mess with the portal or anything, in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, you know what they say, don't fix what isn't broke. So I think, so that's the sentiment we got right now, and it's good enough for me. I'm just curious to see if Jim Leonhard's going to go to Alabama to be the new defensive coordinator.
Oh, Jim Leonhard. Yeah, he would be good.
That's been a big name I've heard, actually.
Yeah, because, I mean, he was so good at Wisconsin that people were recommending him as a Power 5 head coach. Heck, Purdue had him as a finalist, I believe, in the coaching search.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of thinking,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bama should get him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like Tommy's been like as an ND fan, like I've known Tommy Rees since I was like 9 years old, man. Like he became the starting quarterback as a freshman in 2010, and was the quarterback in 2011. Got beat out by Everett Golson in 2012, but then Everett got suspended for all of 2013 for cheating on a test. So Tommy was back to being the starter full time in 2013. So yeah.
Oh man, that 2010 year. I mean, even though they lost to Tulsa that year, the bright side was they upset Utah in their own backyard on NBC. And then on rivalry week, Tommy Rees and Brian Kelly, Notre Dame, they just snapped the losing streak against USC. So that was
that final drive was pretty memorable.
Oh man,
that end the streak. Yeah.
Oh man, that was big. 2011 was.
That was a very disappointing year because we got our hearts ripped out of us twice that year by our two biggest rivals, the Wolverines and the Trojans. Man, they choked bad in the Big House, and then it looked like we were about to tie up the game against the Trojans, where they brought in Dane Chris for that game, who was the backup at that point, who Tommy took the starting role from. They kind of went back and forth a bit in 2011. And then Dane was trying to QB sneak it in for a touchdown to tie the game. But then Dane fumbled it, and USC took it all the way back for a touchdown. That was a brutal moment for me, man. That was a low moment. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's the last time they've ever beaten us in South Bend.
But, yeah, it's – That's going to be big. If Tommy Rees does well at Bama as the OC, he's going to be recommended as Power 5 head coach, and he's just going to sit and wait for Notre Dame.
Yeah. Or he might be a NFL offensive coordinator. We'll see.
Yeah. So that is going to be pretty fun to figure out.
He might even, if he really does well enough, he might even get a chance at NFL head coaching job someday.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it could be like Brian DeBall,
that's a big if.
Yeah.
Where before Saban got DeBall was just kind of meh. Mm-hmm. But then that national title year happens in 2017, and bam, he's on a career rebound as an OC, for Josh Allen. And then becomes Nets head coach at the G-Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he basically resurrected Daniel Jones in a way, but more so Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we see Tommy Rees having a really awesome impact in Tuscaloosa. I'm ready to see what happens in the first few games of 2023, especially when Texas comes to Alabama in 2023. But who do you have in mind for OC candidates for Notre Dame, Will?
I got a whole list right here on my notes app.
Oh man, this is gonna be fun to see. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with a couple long shots first that I don't think are going to get the job. So one long shot I'm going to go for is, let's see here, David Shaw.
Ooh.
Forgot his name. David Shaw could be a long shot.
Oh, there you go. If you can't beat him, hire him.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. So David Shaw, of course, great offensive mind. Was the offensive coordinator of the Stanford Cardinal under Jim Harbaugh. Was part of the reason that turned them into pretty much a sad franchise that just completely burned with Walt Harris. He was not doing well there. And then Jim Harbaugh came in, and the first year wasn't great, but they did beat USC with a third string quarterback. Of course, that was yeah. And then they got better and better. Eventually, winning the Orange Bowl, and I believe it was 2010. So,
oh yeah, they smacked around Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, they got Toby Gerhardt to be the Heisman finalist in 2009, the year before, wow. and then Andrew Luck became Andrew Luck. So he's a big. Even before he was the head coach, he did a great job developing that offense. And then when he became head coach, Pep Hamilton became the OC, and they had some more success.
Oh man, that's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, but I just don't know if he wants to recruit anymore. He might be done with the college game, so that's why I only had it as a long shot. But yeah, David Shaw is one of my long shots.
It's a shame that his tenure ended in such a sour note in Palo Alto, but you know, at least he got that last laugh on Notre Dame. So I mean, I guess good for him.
Yeah. That is a really good question, Todd. I think that ND will be able to splash the cash. I think that Jack Swarbrick, he's all in with Marcus Freeman, so I think they'll be able to spend a pretty penny. And I don't know if I think they probably will make it similar to Marcus Freeman's contract when he was at DC. I know he was really highly paid. Mm-hmm. I don't know that. I'm trying to come up with a number that they gave Marcus, but I believe he was like a top 10 paid defensive coordinator, so probably around that number.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jack Swarbrick will be able to splash the cash for a good offensive coordinator. Now, another long shot that I have, and I know you came up with it for me, was Warren Ruggiero from Wake Forest. $2 million is yeah, that sounds about right. $2 million. Now, the one reason why I don't think that Notre Dame will hire Warren Ruggiero, although he did a great job with Sam Hartman, is that I think Notre Dame just wants to run similar offense that Tommy Rees ran, and they want to make it a balanced offense with like a pro-style balanced offense. And I just think, and that wants to attract like guys that are going to go to the NFL, like the really high talent guys. And I don't think that that's what will happen if they bring in him. Like it'll just be the slow mesh, and that's not what the Irish want to run. Another long shot that I have is Charlie Weiss Jr., who is the son of former Notre Dame coach Charlie Weiss.
You don't think he's gonna be? You don't think he's mad at Notre Dame for firing his daddy, do you?
That might be part of it, man. Like that was a messy breakup at the end. The fans really turned on Charlie Weiss. Even some of the fans were yelling at him, like what, because he liked to run around the field with the ball, play with the players. And they were heckling him, man. Like, they were giving him a hard time. So I think that it might be a bit of a sour relationship now. And also... but
at the same time, you know, money talks. So yeah. that can cure a whole lot of hurt. Better to cry in a nice card than it is on in an El Camino, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to those who have El Caminos.
Yeah. So I just don't think that he'll be the guy because is he calling the plays at Ole Miss? Because he's the Ole Miss offensive coordinator right now, or is Lane Kiffin calling the plays?
Ooh, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. That's a good question. So, but you know he'll get recommended for elsewhere. But yeah, Charlie Weiss didn't do so hot in 07, that 3-9 year, but then '09, you start out 6-2, and then you go 0-4 in November. That's
That was
wow.
yeah. Especially that, yeah, that was a pain. There's some painful moments in
Yeah.
'09.
Well, losing to Connecticut and Pittsburgh and Navy and Stamford can be pretty painful.
Yeah, every loss to Navy is painful because it's a
True.
game that we should win. I mean, Connecticut was pretty good back then. I mean, the Big East was a Power Six conference. It was the Power Six back then, so
Right.
that was the worst of loss.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Mhm.
Pittsburgh was fighting for a Big East title back then, so
Yeah,
that was
I
pretty
mean, it was a
fun.
tough schedule. It was a lot tougher than it was a lot tougher than many of Notre Dame's schedules. I mean, this year it's going to be tough, but like 2018 was pretty easy. But yeah, man, I was at that Washington game in overtime, 37-30.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great game with Jake Locker and Steve Sarkisian over at Washington. I got to high five Golden Tate on the player
Wow.
walk. That was that was
That,
awesome. Yeah.
oh, man, I got to find that moment. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
That was like post game?
No, it was pregame. They do the player walk pregame from the chapel, or I guess Basilica they call it, to the stadium. Yeah.
There you go, getting the high five, that old Golden Tate, man.
Yeah.
Going
That was
boom.
awesome.
I think that might have given them the dub over Washington, be quite honest.
Yeah. That was a great game though, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
they were 4-1 after that win.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I came up with 3 big things that these offensive coordinators gonna have to do.
Ooh.
So I think that Notre Dame has a bit of an all-star coaching staff on offense. Like, I think all the guys that Marcus Freeman hired, they're all really good. First off, we got Harry Heastand with offensive line. Just look at the draft pick. Notre Dame's had so many high draft picks since he started off at offensive line. Like Notre Dame and Michigan, I think, have had the 2 best offensive lines for a while now. Of course, Oklahoma with Bill Beatonbaugh, they're good too. But yeah, I think that Notre Dame's offensive line with Harry Houston has been great for a long time. Also, Dylan McCullough at running backs coach also is elite. And then we got the other guys, such as Chancey Stuckey, who's the wide receivers coach. The wide receivers before he got there weren't very good in Notre Dame.
Oh man!
But since he got there last season in 2022, the wide receiver play has gone from bad to good. But we don't know how good they were because Drew Pine wasn't that great at throwing the ball. But I think they'll be great this year. I'm really confident with the wide receiver room.
Oh man, I'm curious to see how Notre Dame will do in 2023. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah. Also, we got Jared Parker, a tight ends coach. He's a little more unproven because we just had Michael Mayer and he was already great. So we're not sure how good he is, but he's actually on my list on guys that might be the next offensive coordinator at Notre Dame.
Well.
Also, Notre Dame's going to want to run a balanced offense. The Irish aren't going to want to just run the ball like they did for a while there, because when you get to the playoff and when you get to playing some of the best teams, you can't just run the ball. You got to pass too. So that's another big part of being an offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. You can't just be good at one thing. You got to be good at both for the Irish to have a chance at winning a national championship right back to South Bend. And the last thing that I say is that the scheme has to be somewhat similar to what Tommy Rees ran in Notre Dame. Like, it can't just be the slow mesh or the triple option. It's got to be a pretty. I mean, not standard college football offense, but nothing too wacky.
True.
Mm-hmm. So, if Notre Dame wants to just keep it in staff, the best hope for that would be Jared Parker, who is the offensive coordinator at West Virginia. Now, he didn't have much success with West Virginia, but he had Jared Dagey as his quarterback, and he wasn't very good, and it couldn't throw the ball very far. And also, the talent wasn't that great when him and Neil Brown first got to Morgantown. So I don't think he's going to be. So I think he kind of got screwed over by the situation that he was in. It was never really going to succeed.
Right.
So I think he would probably stay as the tight ends coach and the offensive coordinator if Notre Dame was to just keep it in staff. This wouldn't be my number one pick, but I don't think the Irish would take a massive step back with him. They would actually take a step forward with all the talent that's coming in. Another one that I think is a very realistic hire would be Andy Ludwig at Utah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Andy the Dandy Ludwig.
Yeah, I think he would do well because his scheme would fit with what Tommy Rees ran at Notre Dame, and he developed Tyler Huntley, who's now a Pro Bowl quarterback in the NFL.
Oh man, that's a big accomplishment right there.
Yeah, that's a big. That's gonna be right at the top of his resume.
Oh man, he's fantastic. And how about that fantastic job he's been doing with Cam Rising?
Mm-hmm.
That's and he's behind Utah getting 2 straight conference titles. Wow, Notre Dame, you better get him while you still can.
Mm-hmm.
Pay him to get out of Utah.
Mm-hmm. So with Tyler Huntley, before he got to there, Tyler Huntley wasn't going to be an NFL quarterback, but his stats took a big jump when he got to Salt Lake City. And he was also before he was at Utah, he was at Vandy with James Franklin.
Wait, he was actually with Vandy under Derek Mason.
Okay, my bad. I wasn't totally sure.
It's okay, man. He was OC, quarterbacks coach 2015, 2016, 17, he was a tight ends coach. And in 2018, he was a running backs coach alongside OC. But, he did pretty good at Vandy. So,
mm-hmm.
So he was part of the reason why Derek Mason had a job as head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I should have double checked that. But of course, what we all know him now is what he did with Cam Rising.
Oh yeah,
he was a Texas reject. The Horns threw him out of the barn at Texas, and he picked him up, and he's helped lead the Utah Utes to back-to-back Pac-12 championships and trips in their first and second ever trips to the Rose Bowl. And he also knows how to work with tight ends as well. Of course, the Irish are known for recruiting great tight ends, and he did a great job with Dalton Kincaid, and I'm sure he'll do a great job with the tight ends that the Irish will use next year. I'm not sure who they're going to use, if they're going to use Mitchell Evans, Eli Reardon, Holden Stace. I think all three will get some playing time this season, so we'll see. But, yeah, Andy Ludwig will be a great fit in South Bend. Another guy that would be a good fit with Notre Dame is the head coach. He's currently right now is actually the head coach at Akron, Joe Moorhead.
There we go. Well, I mean, getting a MAC head coach to leave shouldn't be too hard. Worked for Arkansas, worked for Colorado. It can most definitely work for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. And you know what Joe Moorhead did?
What's that?
He beat Ohio State twice.
Ooh.
Once that'll be a big key to the Irish having a successful year is taking down the Buckeyes.
Oh man. Unfortunately, he did go 2-1 against Ohio State. 1 in 2016 with that block kick. 2021 embarrassing them in their own backyard and beating in kickoff. And unfortunately losing a tight one in 2017.
That wasn't his fault though. The defense fell apart. They put up a good amount of points in that game, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a tight battle. But then the following week, the Buckeyes lost to the Iowa Hawkeyes. They got smacked down 55-17, which ultimately kept them out of the playoffs. So,
yeah.
But unfortunately, the Mississippi State tenure didn't work out for Moorhead, but it is what it is.
He's more of a Midwestern guy, so I think Notre Dame would be a better fit for him.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, that Penn State-Ohio State battle 2017, it was a 1-point win for the Buckeyes. So it was wow. And it's like you said, that defense is what hurt Penn State. So
yeah, it wasn't his fault. And it's a similar scheme to what the Irish run to Joe Moorhead. So it'll be easy for the players to get adjusted.
Oh,
and and it's really hard to win at Akron. So this would also put his career back on the right path and back to getting a Power 5 head coaching job.
True. I mean, remind me again why you want to stay at Akron. Go to Notre Dame, Moorhead. Make that money.
Right before Tommy Rees got the job, he was interviewed by Brian Kelly.
Wow.
Yeah, but BK interviewed him while he was on the beach in Florida.
Oh man, old Burger King was interviewing him, huh?
Yeah, and he really interviewed him just to get another interview out of the way because he knew Tommy was his guy, and he gave him a bunch of qualifiers like you have to do this, you have to do this. So yeah, it was kind of a joke interview. Now another coach that has a big Notre Dame connection that it might take him a bit of money to come over back to South Bend, but it's Mike Denbrock, who is with LSU.
Oh man, that's gonna be big.
And he worked with Marcus when he was at Cincinnati. He was the offensive coordinator while Marcus Freeman was the defensive coordinator with the Bearcats.
Oh man, he was at OC during Cincinnati's playoff year in 2021. Wow, that was super big right there.
Yeah, and he was also the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame from I believe it was from 2014 to 2016.
Oh yeah, he was 2014 OC, but he was the assistant head coach 2015 and 16.
Yeah, but he had a big say. He had a bit of a say in the offense. But 2016 it was a bit of a mess because Brian Kelly had what he wanted to do on offense that year. Mike Denbrock what he wanted to do, and then Mike Sanford also. So it was a bit of a mess in 2016. That was part of the reason why the Irish went 4-8.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really. It wasn't Denbrock's fault that the Irish were so bad that year. Also, the defense was terrible in 2016. It was a big mess.
Yeah, Mike Sanford got out of Dodge and headed for Western Kentucky.
He was terrible, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm just kind of like, why would you want to hire Sanford to be your head coach, Western Kentucky?
He was the interim coach with Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was actually the coach. He actually coached them to their one win over Cal.
I just got some questions about California, Berkeley. I got some questions about how they're playing. But it is what it is. That's another top for another day.
So he also worked with Harry Hiestand because Harry was the offensive line coach at the time. This was before Harry went to the Bears. So
Wow.
that's big because Harry can be a little difficult to work with, but he's so good at his job. You got to make it work. And he also developed Jaden Daniels. Like he wasn't a great quarterback with Arizona State, kind of average, but Coach Denbrock really got the best out of him and led LSU to a Western Division title. Stunning your Tide.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that would be a good idea to see if he can get Denbrock out of LSU. I mean, if he can beat Bama at LSU, imagine we can do it at Notre Dame. Hey, he can beat the Buckeyes on September 23rd.
Yeah.
And maybe beat USC, keep them out of that playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe keep Clemson out as well, but who knows? Onward to next candidate.
So this is the second tier candidates. These guys wouldn't be my first pick. I'm gonna leave my first pick till the end of the show. I'm gonna leave you guys in anticipation. But this is the second tier candidate, and we got I believe I know he's a MAC head coach. I'm just gonna make sure he's at the school that I think he's at. Yep, it's the head coach. It's the defending MAC champion, Toledo Rockets, Jason Candle.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be pretty big. You think you can get him leave the head coaching position for Notre Dame?
I think I think the Irish have a chance because it's a lot easier to get a Power 5 job as the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame if you're successful than at just being at Toledo. BMC says he believes that Alabama must focus more on defense this time around. Do you agree, Jackson?
I agree. Bama needs to get Jim Leonard be the defensive coordinator. I mean, just look at the stats of the total defense under Jim Leonard. 2017 they were 7th in the nation. 2018 they were 2nd. 2019 they were 29th. 2020 they were 1st. 2021 they were 1st. And last year, 2022, they were 11th in the nation. So, yeah, Bama better get Jim Leonard be the defensive coordinator. I'm telling you right now. I mean, everybody's talking about, get Pruitt. But here's the thing, though. He got in trouble with the NCAA at Tennessee, and he didn't do so hot there before getting caught, so to speak. I mean, it's just I got nothing nice to say about how Pruitt did at Tennessee, but I'm not blaming Pruitt. He took the money right there, so he's a smart man. But Leonard, he's done a fantastic job at Wisconsin. He's done such a fantastic job that he was a finalist to be a Power 5 head coach at Purdue. So, Bama, if you're watching this, go get Jim Leonard be your defensive coordinator. I'm telling you, you want to win, get Leonard to be your DC.
Yeah. Didn't Pruitt have to give back the money, though, because of the recruiting violations?
I think he didn't get a buyout, to be honest. I think he's still in court over it.
It's a whole mess.
Oh, man. I got some personal stories, but that's another time for another day on why you should stay out of court as much as possible.
Yeah. Also, Jason Candle, he's had some huge running games. And the most famous running back that he had, do you know who it was, Jackson?
Oh, man. Jason Campbell?
Yeah, Jason Candle at Toledo. Do you know what his who his top running back was?
Ah, man, I don't know.
Kareem Hunt.
Oh, man. Oh, that's right. That was when his first couple years.
Yeah.
I remember. I forgot about Kareem Hunt playing at Toledo for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a good idea to be watching for some star players on some action Tuesdays, Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
And it paid off for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think if we want to get some big running games going, Jason Candle's the guy. And also, there's going to be more talent with the Irish at quarterback and wide receiver. It could probably end up being balanced too.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I forgot for a little bit about Kareem Hunt playing for Jason Candle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see how it'll work out.
Yeah. So the next candidate is Aaron Roderick from BYU.
Roger rules.
Yeah. So of course, Aaron Roderick, his probably his best achievement is getting Zach Wilson to be a top 5 pick. Mm-hmm.
That's a great job he did at BYU right there.
Mm-hmm. Even though he's a big BUST with the Jets, that was a huge recruiting point he can use to get quarterbacks. He's like, hey, I made Zach Wilson a top. I believe he was number 2, right? Was he the second?
Yeah, he was number 2 draft pick in the 2021 draft.
Yeah.
I don't think draft scouts watch how he played against Coastal Carolina. That should have been hint right there. Do not draft him to be that high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also it looks like Jaron Hall is going to be probably a day 2 or a day 3 pick, as he's doing pretty well in the Senior Bowl. So he's going to have 2 quarterbacks be drafted. So.
Oh man, that's going to be big right there.
Mm-hmm. And he played pretty well against the Irish as well, although he did lose. I believe he put up some good numbers at Notre Dame.
I was sad to see BYU disappoint in 2022, but in 2021 they had such a fantastic season. They were basically the unofficial Pac-12 champs of 2021, partly because of Aaron Roderick.
Yeah. Of course, Utah fans would say that Cam Rising wasn't the starter yet, so they still believe that they would have beaten BYU in the rematch, but we'll never know.
I don't think so, but if Cam Rising had played at Utah by that point, it would have made a bit of a big difference, but it probably would have been like a triple overtime game, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But, Aaron Rodgers, I think he just wants to stay at BYU at the moment and, just kind of like let it sink in that BYU is playing in their first season in the Big 12 2023. So that's another thing to look forward to right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So another candidate that is a big of a long shot is Liam Cohn, who's the offensive coordinator at Kentucky.
Oh, man, he's a Sean McVay assistant.
Yeah. Well, now he got fired from being a Sean McVay assistant. He's now back at Kentucky, but I definitely think the Irish could woo him away with that money.
Ooh, he did a great job in 2021 at Kentucky, and, it's just kind of like, go get this man, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, 2021, Kentucky was great on offense. 2022, not as much. There's a difference there, and it's that Liam Cohen was there in 2021, not there in 2022.
Yeah, that hurt Kentucky, though. Although they beat Florida a second straight year, so I mean that's big for Kentucky football right there.
Yeah, I mean, is that saying much though? Like the Gators weren't that good this year, but that's true. They did. It is an accomplishment.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And I mean, at the time in 2021, Florida was ranked 10th in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big win for Kentucky. But then later that night, a bigger win happened. Auburn snapping that long losing streak in Baton Rouge at Death Valley against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
But, Liam Cohen, You got a decision to make. Do you want to leave Kentucky for greener pastures in South Bend? Or do you want to have a bit of a tough time trying to win the East Division against the two-time national champs? The ball's in your court, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You're cutting out there for a second, Jackson. Were you saying? What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying for Liam Cohen that
Oh,
choice is yours.
Oh, maybe lost me.
Uh-oh.
All right. You guys hear me? Okay, good. Who do you guys think? Oh, no.
But yeah, the ball is in your court, Coach Liam Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
You could go for greener pastures
For sure.
in South Bend,
Crap.
or you
Wi-Fi
can have
No.
or it's going to be a tough time for you to try to beat Georgia. Not saying can't be done, but it's going to be really tough. So choice is yours, Coach.
Mm-hmm. Another pick that this one's kind of out of left field because he hasn't been in college yet. But Byron Leftwich, I think he would do well.
Oh, that would be pretty fun. A former pro quarterback, as a mentor for Notre Dame quarterbacks, that would be sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows a little bit on how to win in the NFL as a coordinator as well. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate he was the fall guy in Tampa Bay, but hey, this leads to greener pastures. So,
I mean, he had a 72-year-old quarterback to work with, so it was kind of tough. Yeah.
Well, it was 72 years in dog years.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, he helped design those plays to lead Gronka Bay to a Super Bowl. So he could definitely use that as a recruiting tool, and also the fact that he was a starting quarterback in the NFL.
In Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That would be pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Byron Leftwich, Notre Dame on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
He also knows how to win at Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Marshall. That's a name I don't like here. That's a name that brings back bad memories. So who do you guys we got 11 strong in the chat here. Who do you guys think should be Notre Dame's new offensive coordinator? I'd like to hear your guys' takes before I come up with my number one choice.
The choice is yours, chat. Who do you think should be the number one OC for Notre Dame? You decide.
That guy 256 thinks it's a good hire for Alabama, Tommy Reeves.
Ooh.
But anyone here want to give out their take on Notre Dame? All right. Looks like I'm getting. All right. So my number one pick is Joe Brady.
Ooh, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the part of the mastermind behind the 2019 LSU National Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, and he was the passing game coordinator and the wide receivers coach during that time. That was wow. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame should definitely get him if they want, in that national title drought.
Mm-hmm. And
But
a good part about this for the Irish is that he has a bit of a relationship with Coach Freeman right now. So,
oh man, that's gonna help.
and 2018. So the year before he got to LSU, 2018, they had a pretty good year as they beat Central Florida in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah. And the
But do you
Fiesta
know?
Siesta Bowl.
Yeah. hmm But do you know that statistically that LSU team had a worse offense than my Fighting Irish in 2022? It was actually
Oh,
worse.
oh yeah.
But then in 2019, they have like the best offense ever. It's crazy how big of a jump that they made. And I'm
Justin
not
Jeff
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
Clyde Edwards Hilaire, the Fresh Prince of Hilaire, and
Yeah.
Joe said Maldonado Burrow, the Bengal King.
hmm Yeah, they were amazing that year. And I'm not saying that Notre Dame's offense is going to be that good if they bring in Joe Brady for 2023 season, but I think they're going to make quite a jump, and I think that the Irish are going to have a lot of success on offense if they bring in Joe Brady.
Oh man, that'd be big.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember that long overtime game that they had with Texas A&M?
Oh man, that was pretty big. 2018. Oh man, it was so awesome. That day I was over to the Iron Bowl with my Uncle King. And, as we're on our way getting back, we're listening to Texas A&M LSU, and we're trying to get a hold of it on our phones. Well, I'm trying to get a hold of it, and we head over to the Waffle House to celebrate Bama beating Gus Malzahn, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to watch LSU Texas A&M. And then when we get back to the house, guess what happens? LSU Texas A&M is on. I'll tell you what, November 24th, 2018 was like one of my best days ever. I got to go to my first ever Iron Bowl, and I got to see a 7 overtime game in college football.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Was that a blowout win for the Tide, or was that a closer game?
oh, it was a blowout win.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't think that Auburn's won in Bryant Denny since 2010, right?
Yeah, that was the last time they beat Bama in Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I won't bring back any more bad memories, but I was trying to remember the last
It's okay.
time. Yeah, I was trying to remember the last time that they did it.
It's okay.
Yeah. So, who out of everyone that we've said, who do you think would be the best hire? Because I know Joe Brady's more of an NFL guy, and he only spent 1 year in college. But if all these guys say yes, do you think Joe's the best choice, or do you think another one would be better? If you had to think, Jackson.
Ooh. If I got my number one candidate for Notre Dame, I say go get that guy from Wake Forest.
Warren Ruggiero?
Warren Ruggiero, yep. I mean, really think about it. Let's see. Number one Notre Dame fan says top two are Joe Brady and the guy from Utah, Andy Ludwig.
Andy Ludwig, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those are two of the guys that we mentioned. But man, like if we get one of those two guys, if we get Andy Ludwig, I'm probably back at the same excitement that I had for Tommy REES, because I do think that he seems like attached to the NFL. Yeah, that's true. BMZ, that's the one thing I'm scared about. And Harmon transferred to. Yeah, that's true, but he did transfer away in that scheme. But. But yeah, man, if we get Joe Brady, I'm thinking I'm really gonna get that green Kool-Aid, man. I'm going to be thinking that the Irish can win the national championship if we get Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator, man. And if we lose the USC again, I'm going to be so let down. We cannot let those, you know what? That I'll say the word that I like to use for them in the private chat. But if we let those guys beat us again, man, that would be rough. Yeah, if we let the Trojans beat us again, man, I don't know if I could take that. Yeah, man. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other wild card candidates. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, maybe you can snatch the OC for Washington State. I mean, he did such a great job at Western Kentucky last year. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, get him over to Notre Dame. That'd be a win right there. Mm-hmm. Oh man, the guy's name Ben Arbuckle. Mm-hmm. What a fantastic job he was doing at Western Kentucky, having them top 10 in the nation last year.
Yeah. Maybe another one. Chip Long could come back to Notre Dame.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's another name.
Chip Long, the Rescue Ranger.
Yeah, I know he was with Georgia Tech in 2022. Of course, I don't think anyone was going to have any success with the Yellow Jackets that year.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to happen, unfortunately. And unfortunately, he had that 2-10 year, the 1 year he was at Tulane. But I think a lot of it had to do with the weather events that happened in 2021. So, it was so bad that they had to make the Tulane Oklahoma game a home game for Tulane, but it was at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I know the only reason that he left Notre Dame was that him and Brian Kelly had a big falling out. So
yeah,
if he would to come back to Notre Dame, I would definitely consider hiring Chip Long back. Do you agree with me, number one ND fan? Would you have Chip back?
Well, only one way to find out.
Yeah. Also, another guy I would have would be Brian Hartline, but I feel like he's too connected to Ohio State. But I would be really excited to see how good the Irish pass game would be with Brian Hartline. I think that Joe Brady could get it to a similar level, though.
I'm surprised Cincinnati didn't hire him to be the Nets head coach, to be quite honest. But oh well. But a guy that we know, dealt with losing Satterfield to Cincinnati, but on his bright side, he's going to get to be really happy to see Jeff Brom winning at Louisville. Mm-hmm. But I'm really curious to see who's going to get hired by Notre Dame.
Yeah. Maybe
it's tomorrow. Maybe it's next week. Definitely before Valentine's Day.
Hopefully. Although that would be a good Valentine's Day gift if we got Joe Brady. I mean, I'll probably still be single by then, so I'll need something to give me a good spirits on Valentine's Day.
Oh, there you go. I'll just do what I do, man. Just like wait it out for the day after, and then just buy yummy chocolates half off.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
But yeah, so Sam Hartman today posted on Twitter a picture of him weightlifting in the Goog, which is like the big Notre Dame football facility. So it looks like he's still committed to staying with the Irish. So that's definitely a good sign.
Oh, man. Mm-hmm. I am really excited to see what Sam Hartman's going to bring to Notre Dame. I mean, he won. He couldn't be able to win the big one at Wake. But, you're not going to be able to win the big one as much at Wake Forest. But, he's going to be at Notre Dame, and it's going to be a beautiful 2023 season either way. And his draft stock is going to go up for 2024.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
That 2024, draft, that it's going to be quarterbacks galore, man. It's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sam I am Hartman.
Yeah, I know our buddy Edward wants him to be the first quarterback to go 0-5 against the Clemson Tigers, but I think I don't know, man. It'll be a good game, man, because Garrett Riley's there now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like a high scoring battle right there.
Yeah. Hopefully our defense is good enough to be able to stop them. But the defense is going to be more of a wild card than the offense, which usually isn't the case for Notre Dame.
Oh man, that'd be big.
Yeah. Because Al Golden and Al Washington are kind of enemies of the states now for ND Nation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to see if there's anything else fun to talk about.
Hey yo, da 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 da. But yeah, it's how about that home schedule and the road schedule, man? It's you got to go to NC State. You're playing Navy in week 0.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time in school history, you're playing an FCS opponent.
It's HBCU though, so I think we're okay. I don't think it's that bad.
Well, at least it's not any other FCS opponent. So, and let's see, yeah, that's gonna be big. But you got the Buckeyes at home on NBC. Todd Blackledge's gonna have his taste of the town in South Bend, I'm sure. So that'll be pretty fun. And on my birthday, they get to go to Duke.
Yeah.
So
who's Bama playing on your birthday?
Oh, they're gonna be playing Mississippi State, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a dub for Bama. But the week after, they got to deal with Texas A&M, which honestly I think A&M is gonna give Bama some issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the thing. A&M didn't do so hot in 2022, but they got up for Bama.
One funny name that Irish fans are saying on the message boards was Jeff Quinn. Do you remember Jeff Quinn?
I think so.
Yeah, he was offensive coordinator at Bowling Green for Kelly, and maybe Cincinnati too. I'm not sure. But yeah, man, he wasn't that good as an O-line coach at Notre Dame because he was there when he was the OC for Cali, but he didn't have that much success as an O-line coach at Notre Dame. But Harry Houston went there and fixed it. But man, that would be one name that would freak out Notre Dame fans.
Ooh,
yeah, that's funny. Another one that I saw on the message board is who, Urban Meyer.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be funny if Urban Meyer was back at Notre Dame.
I was honestly surprised Notre Dame didn't wait for Urban Meyer at the time in 2021. They were just kind of like, oh, well, we're just going to wait for Urban Meyer to say yes to us.
Well, they tried to get Urban Meyer to be the coach in 2000 at the end of the 2004 season, but they ended up going with Charlie Weiss instead.
Right.
Just like they tried to get Gary Barnett to be the coach after Lou Holtz, but they couldn't get him away from Northwestern.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, they thought George O'Leary was going to be their coach after the 2001 season, but he lied about his resume.
Yeah, that's what got him in trouble. But then he resurrected himself at Central Florida with the fantastic turnaround job he did. I bet Notre Dame regretted not bringing him back. They were just kind of like, should we bring back Mr. O'Leary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See if we can get any more fans on our show.
Oh, for sure.
I told Mark's show just ended, so I'm hoping that we can get a few more fans. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
But yeah,
I'm trying to think of any other wild hires that the Irish could make. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ken Niumatalolo would be another one.
Yeah. Oh, guy that beat you a lot, so can't beat him.
A couple times, man. He beat us. I think he beat us in 2009 and 2016. I think that was it.
How do you say his name again? I've always had a devil of a time trying to pronounce it.
So it's Ken Ken, and then it's Niumatalolo.
Well, I know the Kim part, but the last name I've had a devil of a time trying to pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Niumatalolo. Neomatalolo. There we go. But yeah, he was behind Navy when he was assistant head coach from in 07 when they ended that 43 game losing streak from the 42 game losing streak from 64 to 2006.
Yeah, but Paul Johnson was the coach then. For the first one.
Yeah. But Matalolo was the assistant head coach back in those days. But then around he did very well against Notre Dame. So that was pretty big right there. Nobody came close to beating Notre Dame prior to Paul Johnson, Ken Niumatalolo.
Mm-hmm.
But wow.
Well, you know what, Rowan? I'll say this. I know a lot of SEC teams just throw shade at the Irish, but besides like Nick Saban's Alabama team and Kirby Smart's Georgia teams, we haven't lost to another SEC team in a long time. We did. Not. Besides that, with BK and Marcus, like we've only lost to the best. So yeah, but the Irish are going to need to pick a conference until they absolutely have to, though. Because it'll hurt recruiting not playing in a conference because Notre Dame wants to stay a national brand, and it's also part of tradition.
Oh, yeah. Tara P asks, is Tommy REES the new Benedict Arnold?
Not to the same extent, of course, that Kelly has, but I'm sure there's some hard feelings there between the players and Tommy. Because here, I'll play it. I'll play Tommy REES. Brian Kelly leaving. He did a little speech about how Notre Dame. See if I could find it here. But there was a video of Brian Kelly said he's committed to Notre Dame and it's his home right after Brian Kelly left. So it's a little hypocritical of REES to say that. Don't you think, Jackson?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Rowan Phillips says, not now I get it. Y'all own the ACC this year.
Yeah. Yeah, we did own that. We've owned the ACC for a while, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's okay. I said the main idea of it. But yeah, what do you think? Most likely, but I mean, if Notre Dame's in a really dark spot, maybe he would come back to be the head coach. But right now, I think that Marcus Freeman hopefully will be the next coach. Hopefully, will be the coach for Notre Dame for the next 20 years. That would be the most favorable scenario. Well, the reason that the Irish haven't joined the Big Ten yet is because Notre Dame wanted to join the Big Ten in like the 20s and I believe again in the 40s. But there are some very anti-Catholic people from Michigan. So that was why Notre Dame's kind of hold a grudge against the Big Ten ever since. And also why the Notre Dame fans hate Michigan just as much as Ohio State fans hate Michigan.
I'll say this, though. Maybe if the Big Ten's expanding, looking to expand more, they'll definitely add Notre Dame. Because, I mean, do you really think that NBC's not going to try to find a way to have Notre Dame, Michigan come back? Nobody's. Okay. We're not waiting till our 40s for that to come back. I believe that's coming back in the 2030s. I doubt it. It's coming back in this decade. I guarantee. So. I know so, Will. I know so. That's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they don't have Notre Dame, Michigan State as yearly or Notre Dame as Purdue as yearly as it used to be. But Notre Dame, Michigan, they're going to bring that little game back.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, Notre Dame, USC is going to be on NBC every year if they can find a way to have it. Nobody's waiting until 2033. Blah.
Yeah, my dad's always wanted to go to the Big House for the game. I know that a lot of Irish fans have had bad experiences at the Big House with their fans, but I think me and my dad, especially if the Irish win, we'll just keep our head down and walk out and then celebrate in a bar afterwards.
Oh, well, who's to say there's not going to be like a Notre Dame Big Ten deal, so to speak? Because, I mean, I'm kind of wondering at some point when the Big Ten kind of buys out Notre Dame's contract with the ACC, just be like, oh, well, you just keep your little same deal, but you have USC on annually and, Michigan State annually. And, you could play Purdue every now and then, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Penn State, all those schools, you're good to go. What do you say?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a big money deal.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much it hurt the Big Ten when Kevin Warren left.
Yeah. Kevin Warren was a Notre Dame grad.
Yeah, that's... Oh, yeah.
So now I'm a little worried about Notre Dame being able to join the Big Ten whenever we wanted, so... Yeah.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, there's some good questions. Rowan Phillips asks, who else does Notre Dame have a rivalry with? Ooh, that's a good question.
USC, of course, is a big rivalry. Of course, we played them at the end of the year in LA and then in the middle of the year in South Bend because the Trojans are a little scared of the cold, so.
Can't blame them.
Yeah, those are the two big rivals. And we also have a rivalry with Navy. We play Navy every year because Navy kept the university alive in the World War II because they paid them to have they paid Notre Dame to stay in South Bend during the war, and also Stanford. I mean, if we would have beaten the Cardinal again this year, I would have said it's not even a rivalry. But of course, we did get embarrassed at home by Stanford, so I do have to say that the Irish do have a rivalry with the Cardinal. And Notre Dame and Purdue, especially in the 60s and 70s, was a big rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a game we were most definitely talking about just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. Of course, Era Parseghian had a lot of trouble with the Trojans, but he also didn't do great against Purdue as well. I mean, he did. I believe. I'm gonna look this up on.
Well, he won against USC in '65. That was the only year where if they beat USC, they didn't win a national title that year. But 66, 73 were national title
Yeah.
years, and I mean to this day, '66 kind of still sticks in some Bama fans' craw.
I'm sure 73 does. Well, the Irish really haven't played the Hoosiers much. I'll look that up. But yeah, of course, 73 as well has to be a bit sour for Bama fans as well, right? That game, 73.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, before Eric got to Notre Dame, uh, the Irish were having trouble with the Boilermakers, but his first year in '64, they did beat Purdue before losing to, of course, at the end of that year, USC. The Irish would have won a national championship in '64 as well. And then '65, Purdue got their revenge with a close win on the road, and then '66, the Irish did beat the Boilermakers again, and then won the national championship. But then they lost 3 straight to Purdue before winning the next 4. So yeah, Purdue is definitely a rivalry. Oh, we got Jeffrey in here. Our pal
What?
Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports. Jeffrey, what's your reaction to the whole Tommy Rees going to Alabama thing? Of course, Jeffrey's also a Bama fan, so
Well, he's a Bama, North Carolina, Indiana fan.
yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting because I know a lot of Notre Dame fans, including yourself, were not very fond of Tommy Rees. He thought
I've
that,
been up and down on him. I gotta admit, I've been flip floppy with him.
yeah. So it's like if he's not, completely well liked by the whole entire Notre Dame fan base, and it's kind of shocking that Alabama would hire someone that isn't really a consensus favorite among the team that he was currently coaching at, because usually the guys that Alabama hires are slam dunks. Everybody thinks they're at the top of the game, know what they're doing, and I mean Tommy Rees's stats. I mean it's not horrible, but it just doesn't seem like somebody Alabama would hire. So unless Nick Saban just sees a fit here that potentially Tommy Rees could be even better, then I don't completely understand why they would hire him, because there's probably other people that he could have gotten somewhere that would be, potentially more well received, I guess, by the consensus of people.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But I mean, I know a lot of people outside Notre Dame that are coaches were impressed by what Tommy was able to do with Drew Pine and be able to win 8 games with him, and then of course win the bowl game with a guy that barely played in Tyler Buckner. That's the flip side argument that Tommy truthers use.
And that makes sense. I mean, the argument always is with coaches in the first place is what could he do with more talent? I mean, you see that with like Billy Napier when he was being hired from Louisiana Lafayette to Florida. Oh, he did this at Louisiana Lafayette with these players. What can he do at Florida? He can take them all the way. Well, that hasn't happened so far. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. That's just one example. So you could use the same argument to your point. I mean, Drew Pine overachieved this year, and a lot of Notre Dame fans were panicking early on in the season. Things weren't going well. And then as the season went along, Drew Pine, the interceptions went down. He started to do what Notre Dame needed him to do to win games. He just played solid football, didn't make mistakes. He wasn't throwing for 350 yards, but it was good enough. And to your point, at Alabama, you're going to have way more talent to work with. So potentially Tommy Rees, being in Alabama, having the best talent in the country, or at least some of the best talent in the country. Some of that's at Georgia and, Ohio State as well. But Alabama's at the top of the game with talent. He could do better. And that's always an argument, for somebody. I completely agree. I mean, I know we're talking about Tommy Rees. I still always wonder, why so many Alabama fans were anti Bill O'Brien. Because, I mean, I think Bill O'Brien, was his play calling always the best? Not really. There were times where it was questionable, but the stats were still there. So, I mean, Tommy Rees is going to have to do better than Bill O'Brien if he's going to want to be liked by the Alabama fan base, because they have a high ceiling for what they want out of coordinators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's all about the wins and losses. It's not even about the numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
Just win the game, man. Just win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's trying to prevent going the Bama way and becoming a stepping stone for coaches. Yeah, I could see that, Rowan Phillips. I can most definitely see it. Well, I mean, they got Will Muschamp working for him, but I'm afraid they are going to get – somebody is going to get Todd Monken at some point. Somebody is going to get him to be a head coach.
Well, Clemson prevented it forever. I mean, with the Oklahoma coach, Brent Venables. I mean, they kept him around forever. I mean, they did not want to lose him at any cost, and they were willing to pay whatever they could possibly pay him to keep him at Clemson, but finally he left. But, I mean, Alabama, I do think, I've always thought it was an issue in the first place that they have had a revolving door at coordinators. They can't keep them because they do well, because sometimes it's because they're actually great coordinators, or sometimes it's just because you're working with the best talent. So your numbers are going to look good, and then places are going to want to hire you in the NFL or get a head coaching job. It happens all the time in Alabama, and there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes you want stability, and Nick Saban has, throughout his whole entire tenure as the head coach of Alabama, he's been able to fight that, because a lot of teams, when you do have coordinators going in and out, you start to, lose, and you don't have that stability, and the players aren't meshing with the new coordinators. Well, Alabama's been able to, overcome that. Nick Saban's been able to overcome that for so long, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can get back to the top, because they have been slipping a little bit, not extremely, but I do think stability at coordinators is good.
For sure. What's his name? He says 786 says, "Come on, Will. We have been wanting to get rid of this clown Tommy for 4 years. I'm sure glad we can upgrade OC position finally." Ooh, looks like Bama's in big trouble.
He's not a Tommy truther.
This guy's not a Tommy fan. And, so earlier we talked about the top choices, so not really any perspective here. Well, with Tommy, with Tommy Rees, a lot of his people said that he was limited at quarterback. So Ian Book, of course, he got the most that he could out of Ian Book, but he can never win the big games at Notre Dame with Ian Book. He was the quarterbacks coach at the beginning, but then 2018, of course, lost to Clemson in the playoff. 2019, lost at Georgia, close game, and then, of course, the disaster in Ann Arbor. But, yeah. And then, of course, 2020, beat Clemson, but not a full-strength Clemson team, then lost in the championship, and then lost in the playoff against Alabama. And then, of course, 2021, had a Drew Pine, Jack Cohn duo that could not be in Cincinnati. But, yeah, he definitely runs I think the reason that they got him to Alabama is because he runs a similar style to Bill O'Brien, but I think he'll be a better version of Bill O'Brien at Alabama. So I do think that his offense, I do think that he'll do pretty well for sure. But
I hope so.
That's why I'm saying the whole talent argument, because I mean, you look at his tenure at Notre Dame. I mean, Tommy Rees was decent. It's good numbers. They're not great, but there's good numbers. But the issue is, did he ever have a quarterback that was elite? No, he did not. They were solid players. But Jack Cohn, Drew Pine, Tyler Buckner, he didn't even have him long.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Book. These are guys that are not first-round draft picks. I don't even think – I mean, maybe if they're at Alabama and they put up great numbers because you got the best talent, or maybe they are like Mac Jones was. But, I mean, I think it's more of an issue of Notre Dame didn't have the elite quarterback either. That's the argument for Tommy Rees being good, is that he's going to be at Bama where you've got a much more talented quarterback. And I think that his offense was fine. The issue was early on in the year was when they were adjusting to Drew Pine, literally they just kept trying to run the football because they didn't trust his arm, and that's why they lost to Marshall and Stanford. They just kept running the ball, and they weren't running it effectively. So if you want to talk about, his offensive style, I think that when he had a healthy quarterback, or when he, had it rolling with Ian Book toward the end, that last year especially, and with Jack Cohn, I think that he has a pretty good balance of offense with the running and the passing game. He got really criticized this year because he had to adjust to a quarterback that wasn't really potentially ready for that spot in Drew Pine, and it took an adjustment period. It took time. And early on, they were running the ball, but toward the end of the season, once they played Clemson and once they played North Carolina, and even when they beat South Carolina, they're throwing the football. And obviously, Tyler Buckner was back for South Carolina, but still, they were throwing the football more. The offense was more balanced, and I think there was less complaints about his style of offense because they were doing a better job. But I just think it was the fact he never had an elite quarterback, and he did have some turmoil at the quarterback position. What stability, because you had Ian Book, and then you had to go to Jack Cohn for a year, and then you have Buckner/Pine. And obviously, if Drew Pine was elite, he would have stayed at Notre Dame. But he transferred to Arizona State because he knew he wasn't going to play, because you're going to have Sam Hartman or Tyler Buckner. So, I mean, that in itself, I think that Tommy Rees, we're really going to know how good he is now at Alabama. If he doesn't do well at Alabama, there's a problem because you have the talent. Notre Dame has a lot of talent, but they just did not have it at the quarterback spot. They had good players, but they weren't elite.
Yeah.
Oh, and Who Dat Dude says Tommy is in the fast lane to a head coaching job at Bama. Well, if he does very well at Bama, he's most definitely going to get a Power 5 head coaching job while waiting for Notre Dame to open up.
But yeah, also Tommy used the tight ends. Notre Dame's traditionally used the tight ends a lot ever since Brian Kelly got there. From Cole Kmet, right before, and then Michael Mayer after him, and then even before that, like guys like Tommy Tremble, Tyler Eifert, Kyle Rudolph. The Irish really like to use their tight ends as well as lean on the good offensive lines that Notre Dame has. Well.
Let's see. Hummus Hero asks, do you guys see Notre Dame's 2023 recruiting classes disappointing? It was near top, then dipped as the cycle went along. Well, it finished 10th, according to 247sports.com.
Well, another problem was that Notre Dame just isn't willing to give the guaranteed signing bonus money that other schools are willing to give. So they lost Peyton Bowen and Dante Moore to that. And then also Notre Dame isn't quite at that level yet. Like they lost Keon Keeley because Alabama offered him. And they lost Jason Moore to Ohio State. So those were frustrating. But overall, I think that with Brian Kelly having to deal with the NIL, I felt like it would have been much worse. So it's still a step in the right direction. And I feel like also Notre Dame in their recruiting cycle, they spread out the wealth to different positions, not just having a bunch of O-line guys to help boost the rating. The talent's more spread evenly, especially with wide receiver, which Notre Dame's have been having trouble getting 4-star wide receivers. And the Irish got 3 4-star wide receivers with Braylon James, Rico Flores, and Jayden Greathouse. And I think Greathouse is he's a more college ready guy, so I'm sure he'll definitely get some touches.
Yeah, It's really tough to compete, man, with the teams at the top, man. I mean, that's why you have an elite and then you have Notre Dame. They're a great program. They're a great program, but they're not there. They're just not in the stratosphere yet. It's like 4 to maybe 5 teams that are in the stratosphere, at least in recruiting, not maybe with results, But I mean, your Alabama, your Georgias, your Clemson's, Ohio State's, they recruit at the highest. Clemson's even slipping a little bit because Dabo doesn't do the portal. But I mean, Ohio State, they get whoever they want most of the time. Alabama gets whoever they want. Georgia gets whoever they want. Notre Dame is elite, but they're just not at the stratosphere of the elite. And to your point, I mean, if Notre Dame wants to be a team that's capable of winning national championships in 2023, you're going to have to be able to get those guys you lost for sure. And I think they are capable as a program. They're just going to have to be able to find a way to do it.
For sure.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, that's not what I've heard from the Notre Dame insiders. I heard that like from Irish Breakdown, but maybe they did, but I don't know. We'll see. But I think Keon's going to be incredible at Alabama. I think he might start right away, but I don't know that much about Alabama. As I don't know as much as these two guys. For sure. Yeah. But so what I'm going to give you my list, Jeffrey, because you haven't been here yet, and see what you think about. These are the top 4 guys: Joe Brady, Andy Ludwig, Joe Moorhead, and Mike Denbrock. Out of those guys, who do you think Notre Dame should go after the most?
That's tough because, I mean, obviously, like, the name that just flashes off the list is Joe Brady because, like, he won the title at LSU. But, I mean, some people are, not on the Joe Brady train anymore because of, struggling, with the Panthers and everything and the Bills. I don't know. I mean, he'd probably be the biggest name. I mean, Joe Moorhead's got experience as well. Those other 2 guys, they all have experience. They're all solid. I think Joe Brady's probably still the biggest name.
Yeah.
If again, it's kind of the same thing. Like, if Joe Brady can relive LSU success, but again, you also had Joe Burrow and all that talent as well, then potentially I think that it could be him. But if not, because like I said, if he goes to Notre Dame and he doesn't do well, if it's Joe Brady and he goes to Notre Dame, then his career is definitely going to be going down the tubes because you're not going to be a favorite in people's eyes anymore. But probably Joe Moorhead or one of those other guys. I mean, they're if Joe Brady, if they don't think that he's capable, then one of those 3 for sure. But Joe Brady's the one that maybe you give him another shot, and he could work out for sure. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
Guy, I guess he's talking about you, Jeffrey.
Well, thanks. I'd
we
love
have another
to
guy here, Samson Simpson, that is not a Tommy fan. This is the beginning of the end for Nick Saban. He just hired a guy to coach his offense who gets carded trying to buy wine coolers and isn't fit to coach his ultimate team at YMCA.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joe Brady's reached that level of dislike yet that Tommy REES currently has.
Yeah.
At least with Alabama, though, if Tommy REES has a bad year, they'll fire him really quickly.
Yeah. Or he'll go take the same position at like Mississippi State or something. So
yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good one, Samson Simpson. But yeah.
The Simpsons.
But yeah, man, if we get Joe Brady, like, I'm really gonna be excited. But like, I don't know, man. I just feel like, because as I said before, 2018 LSU actually had worse offensive numbers than last year's Notre Dame team, and they made such a big jump. So I definitely feel like they can have that similar jump at Notre Dame, but we'll see.
It would definitely help Joe Brady's career, though. I mean, this would be like a make or break stop. I mean, that's like the big issue with making the jump to the NFL, because it's like if you bomb, you're gonna get another shot at college, but if you fail again, I mean, you're moving down quickly. Because I mean, like Joe Brady, all I know is after the LSU season when they won the whole thing, Joe Brady was like, everyone was talking about Joe Brady. Oh, he's the best. There's no one better than Joe Brady. And then the Panthers happened. It's like, oh no, Joe Brady might not actually be that good. Well, I mean, the offense for the Panthers also was horrible. Like the quarterback, it kind of goes back to that again. The quarterback situation was horrible. What if Joe Burrow played for the Panthers? It might have worked, but again, I just think for, Joe Brady, if he goes to Notre Dame, you got to work with your quarterback play. You're going to have talent. You're going to have it. Sam Hartman, Tyler Butler, both capable. Whoever you go with, Joe Brady, do what you did at LSU. Win a championship. Maybe not win a championship, but at least win 10, 11 games, and you'll be fine, Joe Brady. You'll be fine.
I think Saban's going to choke Tommy at least one game like Bobby Knight did at Indiana.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Well, Bama's in for a long season, it seems, boys.
Yeah. We'll
and
see.
2023, Rowan Phillips says, can't be worse than Jimbo XD. Samson Simpson says, laughing my butt off. Yeah, Saban is going to armbar him like Woody Hayes did to that Clemson player, Charles Bowman, in the 78 Gator Bowl. Yep.
Yeah. But what's Bama's offense looking like coming back? Because I feel like Notre Dame, like Michael Mayer isn't coming back, but I feel like everyone else is coming back. Besides Braden Lindsey, of course.
The big thing for Alabama's got to figure out the QB spot. Because, I mean, is Milroe the guy? I don't know. Because his throwing is not great. He can run. I mean, he's a talented runner. He can literally take the top off the defense and run 75 yards for a touchdown. We've seen that. But can he throw? Because you're kind of going to the same problem as Anthony Richardson. Run the ball. But in the SEC, you're eventually going to figure that out. If you can't throw, they're going to stop you eventually. They've got talented quarterbacks behind them. They got a 5-star and a 4-star quarterback that are like freshmen that are talented, but can you throw them into the fire? Are they just going to come in and be like Trevor Lawrence and it's all A-okay? So that's what Alabama's going to have to figure out. Whose quarterback are you going to bring in a transfer? I mean, Saban's mentioned that, but it's kind of late in the cycle for getting a transfer portal quarterback that's actually be good enough to play at Alabama. So I think they're going to have to figure out if it's Milroe or one of the young guys. The running back spot, I mean, there's always talent at Bama. You're going to have somebody that's going to break out. But, I mean, there are some question marks for Alabama. I mean, the whole team just doesn't look like, even though they're still recruiting at a high level, they just don't seem to be, at as high of a level with the production like they usually have of, like, returnees. It's like this past season, the receiving core was kind of weak. It wasn't a strong point for them like it's been the last 3-4 years. So they're just going to have to find out of the young players who's going to step up, because they have a plethora of guys at the running back spot, the QB spot, and the receiving, core that are capable of playing, but they're young. So they're going to have to grow up fast. And if they don't, then there could be some issues and they could drop 3 games and go 9-3. But if they develop, then they're still going to be really good.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I agree with Sampson. Milroe is elite speed. He can run, but it's all about being able to throw a consistent ball without turning the ball over. That's the key. If he can do that, then he will be the starting quarterback because he can run.
It's going to be really fun to see how that 2023 season works out for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and see how it works out for Notre Dame in 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, think us as college football fanatics, we're just looking forward to 2023 already. In every team, it don't matter. The first game of the year is like Hawaii Vanderbilt kind of stuff. It don't matter. We're looking forward to it.
Yep.
Well, Notre Dame Navy is going to be the first game this year.
Yep.
Because they're playing in Dublin.
Oh man, I'm really looking forward to that game. It's that's going to be fun. So
this is the little funny thing. Like, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Tommy's never going to play in Dublin," because Tommy was originally going to start the game in 20. Jeffrey, here we go. play caller on ESPN. Come on.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea if ESPN hired this guy.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So ESPN executives, you better be watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, this should be the most talented Notre Dame team to come into a season since 2015, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Like we got Sam Hartman going in at quarterback. We got 4 running backs that will get playing time. Jadarian Price was hurt. Logan Diggs, who's kind of like just like your typical running back. We got Chris Tyree, who's going to be catching those screen passes. And then we got Audric Estime, which is like a good old-fashioned Jerome Bettis style running back.
Yeah, who you said is really, really good, but just don't fumble.
Please do not fumble. Yeah, I just remember him going over the top against Ohio State. That was a nice touchdown.
Oh yeah.
And then at wide receiver, we got Lorenzo Styles lost his confidence, so we're going to need him at full confidence. Jaden Thomas was really the go-to receiver for Tyler Buckner in the bowl game, and also Drew Pine's go-to wide receiver when Michael Mayer was covered, as he was a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then Tobias Merriweather, who's a freshman, got hurt. He was the highest rated wide receiver, I believe, since Michael Floyd. So he was another big grab. And then, crap, I'm missing one of the guys' names. I'm bringing up the wide receiver. Deion Colsey is the other one. I was also getting a lot of catches. And then at tight end, we're definitely going to be replacing Michael Mayer is going to be tough. But Eli Reardon is probably going to be the top receiving tight end, along with Mitchell Evans will also get some catches. And then Holden Stace is the best blocker tight end. And then with the offensive line, Joe Alt was the strongest one. Was the strongest of the offensive linemen. He was a first-team All-American by most voters voted him in as first-team All-American. Blake Fisher is huge. He isn't the best fundamentally sound offensive lineman, but he has probably the highest NFL upside out of the group. So if he really gets it going this year, I'm hoping for 10-2 as the floor. I'm hoping we can win more of those, Rowan, but we probably will lose 2. But if we only have 1 loss, I think we'll be a dangerous playoff team.
Oh, for sure. I'd love to see if Notre Dame can get just 1 playoff win, or if they don't get in the playoffs, I want to see them win that New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah. And also one of the offensive linemen that we're going to be replacing is the captain, Jared Patterson, but I think that Billy Strauss will hopefully fill in nicely. And I'm pretty sure Josh Lugg is also going into the draft, so we will need one of the other offensive linemen to step up. Hopefully, Andrew Kristofic could be the one. But yeah, he might be coming back. I'm not totally sure about Josh Lugg. No, he's not. Okay, so yeah.
Rowan Phillips, the Razorback fan, says, "Don't count on getting in the playoffs, losing 2 games."
Yeah, well, I was saying hopefully 1 game. We can only lose 1 game. But yeah, just looking at this offense, it should be pretty elite.
Well, I mean, you look at Sam Hartman. I mean, he went 11-3 in one of his seasons at Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. And again, the talent. When we talk about the talent again, Wake Forest is not as talented as Notre Dame. Obviously, Wake Forest did have a couple of really great receivers that really helped. But if he's able to do what he did at Wake Forest and do the exact same at Notre Dame with better talent, there's a really good shot that they could be a playoff team. They have a chance. They're just going to have to find a way to win those tough games.
For sure. That is for sure. I'm curious to see what will happen. It's going to be fun. 2023. I mean, it's way too early for some people that we do know, but for us, this is like discussing Christmas lists because this is the voice of college football after all, and for guys like us, we're just like kids at a candy store, just getting all the candy we want.
Mm-hmm. The defense is really what scares me, and it's because of the defensive line play taking a step back last year with Al Washington. So Mike Elston went over to Michigan because he was only going to stay with Notre Dame if he got to be the defensive coordinator. But he auditioned against the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State, and they lost that game. And he was the big part of the reason. So he went to his alma mater, Michigan. And Al Washington was brought in, who was the linebackers coach at Ohio State, and it just wasn't as good. And Isaiah Foskey, who was the star of the D-line, didn't like him. So I'm just really hoping he can turn it around. But there's talented guys coming in too, such as I believe what's his name? Josh Burnham. Yeah, he's really and Donovan Heinisch and Julia are the two guys that really can hopefully make a difference coming into the D line because they're going to be replacing the Justin Amendola, and Jordan Vitoho is also going to be a guy that they might place on the D line as well. So I don't know, man. They worry me though, man, because they just didn't get home to the quarterback as much as they did in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be key. I mean, you got to be able to defend at a high level, especially against, the top teams that Notre Dame's going to be playing because, I mean, if they're getting in shootouts, they're probably going to be on the wrong side of those games.
Yeah.
They have to be able to defend. I agree.
Yeah. And linebackers also took a step back last year. But there's just so much talent coming in at linebacker. Just don't mess it up, Al Golden. Just don't mess it up, man. Please. Because Jaden Sneed, he was a 5-star, and he didn't get much playing time, which was frustrating. And Prince Colley also didn't get as much playing time as well. So, and I really think those two guys will be difference makers coming in. So hopefully, and Junior Tulialamaka will also be another guy that's coming in. So really hoping that they can do well and get this defense to where it can hopefully be. And I know the cornerback play with Ben Morrison and Cam Hart's going to be great. So those two guys are going to be probably – I could see them both being All-Americans. So, yeah. This one, I feel like James Laurinaitis. Yeah, man. I mean, he didn't – the linebackers did not develop with him, unfortunately. Or at least they didn't play at least. So, hopefully they'll be better. Hopefully they'll be better going into the year. And Jaden Mickey as well. Hopefully he can take the next step because when he was just there to stare their defensive playbook. Yeah, man, it felt like that sometimes, but yeah. So really hoping that they can take a step forward as well. And with safety, hopefully Ramon Henderson can have a good year as Tariq Bracy is unfortunately leaving. So, yeah, Jane. And hopefully another hope is that let's see if I can find him on the player list. Clarence Lewis can go on to safety because I feel like that would definitely fit him better as he struggled at corner this year as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully that Irish can definitely improve quite a bit on those on defense as well. Mm-hmm. Do you guys Do you guys want to plug your stuff in as a? I feel like I'm running out of. I'm trying to run out. I was trying to keep the topics going, but do you guys want to plug? We can plug Young Guns and also plug Only Talk Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I do the links or whatever.
Yeah, just put them in the private chat, and then I'll post them in the comments.
Okay.
But yes, check out Young Guns. Check out Only Talk Sports, but also most importantly, check out the Voice of College Football and get this show to 1 million subscribers. Man, like, comment, subscribe to this show, and also follow Mark Rogers on Twitter and Instagram. Check out his awesome stuff, and it's gonna be really awesome. He is awesome to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So check him out. He's one of the best of the best.
Yeah, Mark, man, he has some of the best college football content on YouTube. I mean, he is fantastic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go on the ESPN or the Fox Sports. Well, you can if you want, but I just recommend Voice of College Football if you want some college football stats. Come right here to the Voice of College Football.
One more question to have for you, A. Chowd. Who's your pick, man? I never asked you that. Who's your pick to be the offensive coordinator? Like, I think all four of the top 4 guys would be good, but Joe Brady would be my top pick because of the highest upside. But what do you think, man? Because you've been complaining about Tommy the whole time, but you've never actually given me your pick.
Oh, man.
And you too, Samson. You got. See if we can get that before we log off. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Samson.
Oh, thank you, Samson.
Thanks.
All right. We'll give it a minute and then we can go off. But
There we go.
All right, we're just gonna. All right, thanks everyone for coming on. This was a
Thank you very much. Check out the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. It's the best college football show on social media. Check it out.
Had a lot of fun. Thanks for being everybody.